Hey guys, Jim Bounds at Motorhome Rehab Ranch, and we've been doing a bunch of videos. We're going right down into real deep into the rabbit holes and stuff. We need to back out a second. There are folks buying these motorhomes. I'm watching on social network. A guy's worried about getting home, and he didn't check anything. So if you'll allow me, let's back up a little bit and let's look at some basic stuff. And we're talking right now to some of the new owners, okay? Right now, what I'd like to talk about, something real simple. How do I plug in the motorhome? How do I plug in the motorhome? What that means is plugging it into the wall, plugging it into a house or something like that. Okay, well, that's fine. Well, on a GM floor plan, and you Transmode guys will get into it, but on a GM floor plan, you got your utility door right here. Hey, you prop it up, you got a little prop there. Now inside here, again, you guys that have had these for a while, just bear with me. You may learn something. Inside here will be a 50 amp plug, a receptacle for one of these. It'll be a receptacle just like this to plug in a 50 amp service to. Now what's a 50 amp service? 50 amp service is 4 prongs. You got a ground, you've got a neutral, and each side you have a hot. You see that? Okay. This is a 50 amp service. Now what I mean by 50 amp service is it has 2 legs of 25 amps, not 220. You want to run off one load, single phase. One of the electricians told me, single phase. Each one of these 2 is 25 amps. This one is a neutral, and this is your ground. Now, you say, well, I'm going to be home, and I don't have a 50 amp plug. All right, that's no problem. Well, what you do is, now, you see, I have a pigtail like this. A lot of you guys will have 20 feet of cable in there. We call that the Amazon cable, right? The problem with because this is hardwired to the fuse box. The problem with having 20 feet of cable wrapped up in here, it actually drops current going through all that cable, okay? So what I did is I shortened the pigtail to just like this, okay? Then, if I want to hook it up to something, I'll use a 50 to 30 dog bone. Is the dog bone, right? It has the 4 plugs here. Again, the male comes off the fuse block. You plug that into there, and then you come out and you have 3. Okay? Well, this is a 30 amp service. It's like this. 3 wires. You have ground. You have a load. Remember, in AC, black is a load. And then the white is your neutral. You look at this. Look at it like this. This side over here is your white. That's your neutral. The side over here is load, and this side is ground. You say, well, at the house, I don't have a plug like that. I've got a 110 plug, like a wall plug, like that. Okay? Everybody sees this. Well, this is an adapter, okay? And what this is for, comes out of here to a 50, 30 dog bone. Then you take this and plug it into here. This gives you what you can plug into your garage. Now, you say, great, we're plugged in, but every time I turn on the air conditioner, it blows the breaker. Of course it does. This is a 20 amp service. This is called a 30 amp service. And this is called a 50 amp service. If you have 2 roof air conditioners, you're going to have 50 amps. You're going to have to have a big cable to run both roof air conditioners. Okay? If you plug a dog bone in, you can run 1 roof air with this dog bone to a 30 amp. Okay? And then when you put this on there, it's difficult to run a roof air on a 20 amp circuit. You can, it's tight. You turn off your water heater, you turn off everything else. You can do it with this. But generally speaking, if you're on a 20 amp service, it'll run just about everything in the coach except the roof air. When you're on a 30 amp service, you can run everything in the coach and in the roof air. And then when you're on 50, you can run everything. So why did they put a 6,000 watt generator down there in a 50 amp service? Because back when this thing was made, you know, the atomic age says that you can turn on everything simultaneously and it all works. Well, hopefully we're smarter than that now. And we don't want to turn on everything simultaneously and the hair dryer and everything like that. So if you must run a roof air, you really need to have a 30 amp service. Okay. Now at the house, I have a 110 and I run everything except the roof air. I run fans, all that kind of stuff. But you don't really want to run a roof air on this stuff. Okay. So you want to have in your coach, when you go somewhere, you want to have a dog bone to go from your 50 amp down to a 30, because it may be that all you have is a 30. Okay. And then you want to have one of these adapters. They make these in several different styles to plug into here. So when you go to your buddy's house and he wants to plug in overnight, you can do everything but the roof air. Okay. Now, say, well, that's all good. I can handle that. There's a couple of maintenance issues. If you want to look at this, you can see that the load leg on this extension is burnt. See that? Because it pulled too much current. It got too hot. Why did it get hot? Because there was resistance in it. What kind of resistance was it? It was corrosion. Went to an RV park outside of Gainesville one time, and before he would allow you to plug in, he would take your plug and he'd take a file to it. File off all that corrosion. Okay? File it off. Because that's going to cause heat. See that corrosion right there? So file it off. This is called a combination file. It's half round on one side and flat on the other. The half round is good because you can get in the corner. They got them at Harbor Freight. Now you could also use some sandpaper on it. Okay. Sand the corrosion off. You need to be nice and bright. Because if it doesn't, and there's some corrosion in the plug, you're going to end up like mine with corrosion there. Burn. No good. I need 2 new heads on this. The next time I go out, I'll get one. When you plug in here, when you plug the wall in, now, remember we said there's a receptacle this is plugged into. This receptacle goes to your generator. So when you fire your generator up, and you have this plugged in to here, the generator will power the motorhome. Right. When the generator is off, you must put power to here. Now, when you do that, there is a power converter. There is a power converter on board that charges the living area battery. And from the factory, all years, the power converter in the back only charged the living area battery, not the engine battery. Okay? Over the years, you know that up in the front on the boost solenoid, you can put a jumper on there and it'll charge both. Also, when we were rewiring them, we put a switch in. You flip the switch and it'll charge both batteries. If you put a Simlac ACR160 in, it will automatically charge the battery. Okay, whichever battery is lower, it will charge it. If the engine battery is low and you have it on living area battery will charge that engine battery. If the engine is running, the alternator is running, it will run them back here, and this won't charge it. It'll charge both batteries from your engine, but only one battery from your living area converter. All right. When you buy your coach, this is for guys that pick one of them up. Ask them, does the generator work? Fire it up. It'll smoke a little bit. Give it about 30 seconds or something like that. Take this and plug it in. See if everything works. See if the generator works. If he says it doesn't work, that's not unusual, because people, they always save the generator. Oh, we're not going to run the generator until we need it. Well, when you finally need it, the thing doesn't work. So if he says it doesn't work, say, well, okay, I understand. But understand that if you want a working generator, we're probably going to have some work having to do there. Right? So when he fires it up and you plug it in, you try everything, great. Turn everything off. Never turn on, plug in, or unplug your coach with the roof air conditioner on. Always turn them off, turn your main loads off, plug in, do whatever you're doing, and then turn it on. When you're going to unplug it, turn everything off, and then unplug. That way you don't have any sparks and cause corrosion and all that kind of stuff. A motorhome is everything in a house except grass. It's got a stinky above ground septic tank. It's got a power plant down there that Bubba and Scooter's been working on for 50 years. And then it has every broken switch in a 50-year-old car. Okay? So electrically speaking, these things are pretty tough. They got a lot of stuff in there you got to deal with. Okay? It's real important to be able to plug in and to get power. Okay? Now, I was watching a social network the other day, and a guy, actually, he came on and asked a lot of really pertinent questions that I've just answered here, and he honestly didn't know. That's not a bad thing. It's not a bad thing you don't know, because this is kind of new. It's kind of different. So I invite you to give me a call. You got a question on your electrical stuff? Yeah, give me a call. You don't know what you've had with 50 years of good intentions, rewiring. Oh, well, let's put that in. You know, you just don't know exactly what you have. So you need to, if you pick a coach up, you need to sort it out. You know, you get in there and you sit down and all the gauges work and all that. You say, oh, well, great, I'm all set. Maybe. You got to see how it's wired, and if it was wired to stay. You know, people go in there and they'll get some really cool thing, and they'll rig it in to see it work. They'll wire it in, and about that time his wife calls and says, hey, we're ready for dinner. He leaves it sitting there. It works, but it's all rigged up. He go have dinner and he forgot that he didn't finish it. So that's the kind of stuff you got to watch for. Electrical is a problem, and 110 could be a fire hazard. Okay, so if you get in there and you see any kind of weird wiring or anything in your 110, stop and kind of look into it. Now, for you guys with transmodes, you don't have a utility door like this. You'll probably have a box that the cord comes out. In that situation, in the electrical box in the coach, the 110 electrical box, there is a transfer switch. It's got a metal bar on it. When you push the metal bar one way, this one goes up. You push it the other way, this one goes up. This is the generator. This is the living area. You can't have them both at the same time. It has that rocker switch in there. They don't do that anymore. Why? Because it was a little bit confusing. You can't buy that system again. So if you have that system, you want to get into a transfer switch where it automatically transfers from generator to living area depending on what you're doing. So if you have that situation, you really need to fix that. Those two breaker things might work, But when it fails, and it'll fail at the worst possible time, you won't be able to replace it, and you'll need to rewire it at that time. And hopefully that's not during Thanksgiving and everybody's wanting everything to work. So you may want to consider putting a transfer switch. I would put a 50 amp transfer switch. Go online, go to Google, and write in 50 amp transfer. Now, if you have a 23 foot or you have a 30 amp service, the 3-wire service, you can get a 30 amp transfer switch, but honestly, you're better off getting a 50 amp transfer switch. Look them up. There's a lot of different manufacturers. One work better than the other, not really. You want it where you can get them where they're active, where the relay locks it in one or locks it in the other. What you want is one that when the relay is off, it passes through and goes from your living area electrical system. Then when the generator comes on, it kicks the relay, and then the power comes from the generator. It's an automatic switch. Now you can put these in here too, but generally speaking, folks that have this is a real nice system, very manual, very sure, very reliable. So we've really pretty much, well, I have put a lot of it, but I don't have one, and I like the fact of just unplugging it. Because think about this: say you're at home and you want to put power into your house. You can plug right into here with a 50 amp, get a 50 amp cord. You plug it right in here and go run it into your fuse box at the house. So it's kind of nice to have access to the generator right there at the receptacle. All right. So I hope this helps you guys a little bit. At least you'll be able to hook power up to it. If you do have problems, give me a call. If this is helpful to you, hit like and share and all those kind of things. If you do have questions, call me. This is not very technical, but if you don't know how to do this, the motorhome's not any fun at all. Right? All right, well, look, thanks a lot for your time, and we'll see you next time.